in this video we will be adding achievements with progress on them, which means that you can create achievements that require the user or the player to do something more times before the achievement is actually earned. So if we have a look at it here, you'll see that I have added a new type of achievement here in the bottom of the general tab. And this achievement states that you need to press L, but after the title I've written how far along you are with this achievement. So the progress of this achievement is right now 0 out of 3. And the description also states that you'll need to press L 3 times to unlock this achievement. So if I press L once, then you'll see that this one will count up, and I will be able to close the game and go do some other stuff, then come back to the game, and I'll be able to come back to the progress here and still have the same progress saved. And then I'll be able to press L again to get 2 out of 3, and the next time I press the L button, as you can see here, the achievement is now earned, and because I just pressed the button 3 times. So this can of course also be applied to other things in your game, for example pick up 3 apples or kill 3 enemies or something like that. And you can see of course if I replay the game, then the progress is also saved, and I can check that I already earned this achievement here. So this is what we are going to be adding in this video. It doesn't actually take a lot of work to add these progressional achievements, because we will simply have to add one more function and then change some constructors around so that we are using the new progress that we are going to add. So to do this, we will have to open up the achievement script. And in here we'll have to add 2 new variables, one for the current progress of the achievement and another one to hold the maximum progress of the achievement. So let's say that we have an achievement, the one I made before, press L 3 times. If we have that achievement, then we'll need to keep track of the current progress, which could be 0, 1 or 3. Or 2 or 3, and then the maximum, which is 3 in our case. So let's try to add this by going to the achievement script, and in here we make a private integer called current progression, and then we make a private integer again called max progression. And yeah, the max progression contains the maximum amount, which is the amount of times you have to do something to complete the achievement, and the current progress is your current progress, of course. So if we go to our constructor down here somewhere, here we have the achievement, and in here we'll have to add the current progression. Or the max progression, sorry. So in the constructor we'll have to make a new integer and call it max progress. Just call progression so we have the same name, and then we'll have to set the max progression of this achievement equal to the parameter here we just added. So we will do like this dot max progression equals max progression. So now every single achievement that we are creating actually has some sort of progression. Down here it will complain now and state that there are no arguments given in this corresponding thing and so on. Because if we look here, you'll see that it asks for a progression here on our achievement inside the create achievement function. And the reason that it asks for that now is because we just added a new constructor in here, or new parameter to our constructor, of course, and the constructor is what we are calling here. So now we're not giving in the progress. So we need to get the progress from somewhere, and we can get the progress from the create achievement function's parameter. Because when we call create achievement somewhere, this call will state how much the progress needs to be on the current achievement it's creating. So if the progress is 0, that means that it doesn't need to check anything before it gets triggered, and if it's 1 or higher, then it needs to check the progress before it gets triggered. Now when I think about it, you can of course also put 1 on the achievement, but then it will have 1/1, and that doesn't really make sense. So basically we will be adding 0 as the achievement progress when an achievement needs to be triggered once to be earned, so we don't get 1/1. Anyway, let's make an integer here called max progress, or let's just call it progress. And this one from up here. Remember, you shouldn't make it after dependencies, make it in front of dependencies, because dependencies has set a value as null from the beginning, and these ones with automatic values needs to be in the end of the constructor. So if we make a comma here and give it the progress here from this achievement up here. So now it is going to complain in a lot of different places, because now we just told our create achievement function that it needs to take in a progress as well when we create it. So to fix this, we will have to go back to all our other achievements, and we will have to make an extra comma here, and then we'll have to add a progress, of course. So comma 0 it was, and then comma, and then you'll see progress is lit up. So we need to write 0. So all of them gets this extra parameter now. Now you can see there's no red squiggly line here under the first created achievement. So just take this one and copy paste it, the comma 0, everywhere you need it. And remember, if you have an achievement that takes in the last parameter here, then you'll have to put it in front of that, because if you make the comma, you will see that the progression needs to go before the dependencies here, and this achievement has a dependency, so we will need to put the progress in front of it. And we can just keep copy pasting down here so that we remove all these errors here where the constructors doesn't give where the creation doesn't give in the last parameter. There we go. Okay, so now we don't have any errors anymore when we have added these things to the constructors. So we can try to add our new achievement to the mix here so that we can see that it's there. So let's just take that one that called general press D, for example, or take any achievement and copy it. So I copy it and I paste it underneath here. And then I'm just going to call it press L, and press L 3 times to unlock this achievement. Okay, so right now I punched in 0 as the amount of times you need to do something to unlock this achievement. But we will need to do this 3 times to unlock it, so we have to replace the last 0 with a 3. So let's try to save this. So if we run the game now, we should be able to see that the achievement has been added to the list. So let's try to jump back into Unity to check if the new achievement is there. So try to run the game and then open up your achievement menu, and then go and check if the new achievement is under your menu you added to. As you can see here, my press L is now added, and it states press L 3 times to unlock this achievement. So it has been added successfully, even though we made some changes to the constructor and everything. So everything still works even though we made those changes. So the next thing we'll have to do is to make sure that the title contains the current description. So let's try to figure out where we are adding the title. And we're actually doing this inside the set achievement info function. And this achievement info function is setting the title right here. So here, when we're creating a title, we will have to add the progression of the achievement. So we will have to add the current progression and the max progression. And right now the max progression is basically just our progress. And the current progression when we start the game should always be 0. Or at least the first time we start the game. So let's try to add this functionality here. So first of all, the set achievement info will need to take in a what's called a progress integer, so that it knows what the progress needs to be. So make a comma here and write progression integer progression. And usually you don't need to add any progression if you create an achievement without a progress. So we can just set it to a default value as 0. So if we don't add anything to it, then it's just going to put in the value 0 as a standard. So we have to go to the title here, and in here we'll have to set up the progression. Basically we can also just add a new line here, so it's easier, so we have it on more lines. So string progress is equal to progression larger than 0. Okay, so we're going to make a smart if statement here that says if the progression is larger than 0, what are we going to do then? Well, if this is true, then we are simply going to make a space here so that there's going to be a space between the title and the progress. And then we're going to say player prefs dot get integer progression plus title. So we are going to save our progress under the name progression plus the title here. Then we're going to make a plus, and we are going to make a slash here, and then we're going to say plus progression to string. And if this is not true, if the progression isn't larger than 0, well, then we simply need to set it as string.empty, like so. So this makes sure that we will only be writing the progression after the title if we have a progress to track. If it's 0, then we don't need to add the progress after the title, because there's no point in writing 0/0. It doesn't make sense, or 1/1 for that matter. Then we will have to add this progress we just created, the string, which can either be, it can be 0 or an empty string, or it can be the progression slash the current progression, the max progression, sorry. So we can say title plus progress here. And it's very important to use progress down here instead of progression, else you'll just get a 0 in, or a 1, or whatever you put there when you create the achievement. Okay, so let's figure out where we are calling set achievement. Let's right click on it, and let's see, find all references. We can see we have some references here. So inside the earn achievement function, we are trying to call it, and where else? Inside the create achievement function, we're also calling it. So inside the create achievement function, we will actually have to add the progress here we just created before inside the constructor, sorry, not the constructor, inside the function, and pass it on to the set achievement function here. So you can see if we make a comma now, it asks for the progress, and the progress is actually going to be equal to the progress up here. So comma progress. So now it should set the achievement progress. Let's try to run the game to see. Press L once though. So yeah, now you can see press L 0 out of 3 here. So we need to press L 0 out of 3 times now to, or it states that we need to do that. We haven't added it yet, but now it actually states the progress here on the title. So far so good. So the next thing we'll have to do is to make sure that our achievement, the new progression achievement, will be saved and loaded. So we need to find the save function. Let's try to right click and go to definition. It's inside the achievement. And in here we'll have to save the progress as well. So after player pref set points, set in point, we can say player prefs dot set integer, and then write, what was it, progression plus title plus name. Sorry, it's name in here, I think. Yeah. So progression plus name and current progression. So now it will save progression apples, for example, under, and it will save the current progress if it's, for example, 3. So this makes sure that we save our progress. The next thing we'll have to do is to load it. So let's find the load function here, and inside the load function we will also have to add something. So after we have loaded the points, we can say current progression equals player prefs dot get integer progression plus name. So this loads the exact same integer as we saved up here. So at some point we're saving this, and now we are loading it into the current progression instead of saving the current progression. Okay, so now we can load and save this, but we will have to add another function to the achievement because we need to check up on the progression in some way. And how do we do that? Well, let's make a function called public bool, and let's call it check progress. So check progress will check the progress on the achievement to check if it's earned or if it still needs to some progression before it's done getting achieved. So the current progress is going to be increased here, because every time we try to unlock an achievement, this function will be called, and then we will add one to the progress. And when we add one to the progress, we will get one step closer at earning our achievement. The next thing we'll have to do is to say save achievement. And basically we will call save achievement without telling it that the achievement is unlocked, because we don't know yet if the achievement is unlocked or not. So we will say save achievement false, which makes sure that the achievements get saved without being unlocked, I mean. And then we say if our max progression is equal to 0. Well, if it's equal to 0, then we return true, because then we can earn this achievement in the earn achievement function. Because if an achievement has a 0 max progression, that means that we don't need to progress further than one time to unlock it. So then we return true. If we can make an if statement that says if our current progression is larger or equal to our max progression, well, then we also return true, because if the current progress is larger or equal to the maximum time you need to progress this achievement, well, then we can earn it, so we return true. And down here we simply return false. So let's try to set this up. If we go to the achievement manager and we copy paste the D value here and replace D with L and call this one press L. So now it will try to earn the achievement called press L. If I hit the right key, there we go. Earn the achievement press L every time we press the L button. And because we set these things up, it shouldn't be earned right away, but we will of course have to go to the achievement and find the earn achievement function here. And inside the earn achievement function, we will have to use this progression done. So we will also have to say and not progression done, check progression, that's what we call it, check progress. So if the achievement isn't unlocked and it doesn't have any dependencies and the check progress checks out here, well, then we can try to earn it. So let's try to save this and see if we need to press L 3 times for this achievement to work. Open it up. Let's see, we have the L achievement here. If I press once, nothing happens. If I press one more time, nothing happens. And if I press the third time, then I unlock my achievement. So now we can unlock the achievement based on number of press or number of times we try to achieve it. But as you can see here, the press L is still 0 out of 3, so we will also have to update the title here every time we press the button. And we can do that inside the new function we just created called check progress. And basically we will have to do the exact same thing as we did inside the achievement manager to check the progress. So we can basically just write, I'm not sure if we should copy paste it now, let's just write it, achievement ref, which is a reference to the actual achievement in the game on this achievement class. The transform dot get child 0, because 0 is the title, dot get component text, and then we say text equals name plus space plus current progression plus slash and plus max progression. So now we should be updating our achievement every time we try to check the progress here, and check progress is called every time we try to earn it. So let's give it a go here and see what happens. Of course I need to delete the actual player prefs, so I need to go to achievement manager because we just unlocked the achievement and say player prefs.delete all. And save. Let's try to play the game again. And if we run it now, press L once. Oops, maybe I should open up so we can see it. I just pressed L once. You can see it's 1 out of 3. I press L again, 2 out of 3, and I press L one more time, and 3 out of 3. So now it is unlocked and I can see the actual progress here. Remember to go back in here and delete that player prefs delete all if you haven't done it already. And that's how you can add achievements with progress on them to this achievement system. If you haven't done it already, then please remember to follow me on Twitter, like my Facebook page, and subscribe to this channel. Also, please consider to share my videos on your social media accounts, because it helps me a lot when you guys do that. I can see that some people are already doing that, and it increases my traffic on this page quite a lot, so it's very good for my channel because it becomes way more popular when other people are also sharing my videos. So please consider to do that if this video was helpful. Also remember that InScope Studios is a community founded page, which means that all your support is very, very important to me. You can support me in different ways. You can, for example, go to the Patreon page where you can get some different perks. For example, all my tutorial projects will be available to you, and you will also have sneak peeks on my later tutorials. You can also get private tutoring if that's what you want on the Patreon page. If you don't want to support me with that much, you can also support me by clicking the link on the screen right here to acquire this simple project here, or any of my other projects, of course. Again, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for your support.